Alrighty, guys. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's doing good. We got ourselves a heck of a day here for today, as we now have a moderate level 4 threat for severe weather. So hope you guys are doing good out there. It's good to have y'all here for an update here. Much needed update. Let's see who we got here today. We have Misty. What's up, Misty? Welcome. We have Tabletop, Scott, Braven, Sean, Bill, Anna, Virgil. Let's see, Richard, Ghosted, Ashes, Ponderosa, Tracy, Rocca. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's doing good. It's good to have you guys here. So, but yeah, like I said, we do have a pretty big day today. A big old level 4 moderate risk out here for severe weather today, as we are expecting derecho activity to occur. We have ourselves that level 4 threat across eastern South Dakota, a little bit of southern Minnesota, and they did extend this now into northern Iowa with the level 4 severe weather threat. So we're definitely going to need to be looking out there for these areas today. The main regions of concern is going to be up here in South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. Those are kind of the main areas here overall. So just please make sure that you guys are, keeping a close eye out there for this, and, watching the weather here very, very closely. Now, in terms of tornadoes, we do have ourselves a 5% risk overall probability here. We do have ourselves, that threat here for eastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota, which we do need to look out here for, as well as that 2% region here in the dark green area here overall. Are we having this audio problem again? Hold on, let me check. Make sure. Oh, it sounds like we're good. Okay. What's up, Sydney? Welcome. Glad to see you here. Hopefully you're doing well. But yeah, so we do have a pretty low tornado threat today. I mean, a 5% is no big outbreak for tornadoes, but, a couple of tornadoes will be possible. The thing is that, today's main concern is going to be for damaging winds, as we do have ourselves a large 45% significant risk here for damaging winds, in which we are going to see potential of wind gusts here in excess of 80 miles an hour. We definitely do have that big chance for damaging winds, and that's going to be kind of the leading concern, as we could have some hurricane force winds across some of these regions here. Once again, in like eastern, or really a lot of central eastern South Dakota here, where this hatch risk region is, the dashed line area. This is where we have that significant risk overall for damaging winds. Once again, 80 plus. But yeah, so probability, once again, we do have the areas in brown, which is a 5% chance. The areas that's outside of this hatch risk area is probably going to see some gusty winds, mostly between maybe 60 and 70 miles per hour potentially, with some of those severe storms storms here. Once again, the brown indicates a 5% chance probability. The yellow indicates that 15% chance. But yeah, no, it's not really until you get into this hatch risk area here, you know, this region where you have this this black dashed lines is where the main threat for damaging winds is going to be. You know, that's the region where we could see, once again, 80 plus. So yeah, so across the red, this is an overall 30% chance probability here overall for damaging winds. And across the pink here, this is a whopping 45% chance probability here for damaging wind gusts. So we certainly need to be watching very, very closely, as this is the leading concern, as we are going to have likely a lot of straight line winds here with this storm system. So we're definitely going to need to be watching this one very, very closely. Now, looking over at the hail threat today, we do have ourselves 2 hatch risk here for hail. One of the hatch risk here is in central Montana, while the other one is here for eastern South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota. This region here is where we could see, you know, in the dashed region, this is where we could see hail 2 inches in diameter and larger. Once again, the yellow indicating a 15% chance probability here for hail. Outside of the hatch risk area here, you know, that's not in the dashed regions here, this is where we could see some hail between 1 to 2 inches in diameter. But, you know, those regions here in that dashed region is where we actually could see those, you know, 2 inches in diameter and larger. You know, definitely a really, really big concern also out there for hail. But once again, the main leading concern is going to be damaging winds. And then, of course, like I mentioned, you know, tornadoes, large hail will certainly be a concern as well. You know, just the main concern, you know, we got to really, really look out for is those winds, as that's going to be a big, big issue here overall. What's up, Ponderosa? Let's see, is this going to hit Wisconsin? So Wisconsin's not really in the main threat here. You know, the main areas here is across the red and the orange, of course. You know, that's the greatest risk area. However, central western Wisconsin could definitely see a little bit of severe weather out of it, as we do have a level 2 slight risk here along the western side of Wisconsin, including areas like Eau Claire. You know, Madison area here, Wisconsin, level 1 threat overall. So, yeah, we could see a little bit of severe weather out here. Now, tornado-wise, the threat is just outside of Wisconsin for tornadic activity, so we're not expecting any of that. However, a little bit of gusty winds, you know, between 60, maybe 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts could be quite possible. And then in terms of hail, just a little 5% out there by the Eau Claire region here. So, yeah, just main concern is going to be a little bit of gusty winds out here. But the main stuff is going to be further to the west out there. So Wisconsin's not going to be the most heavily impacted, but, you know, they are in the region here that we do need to monitor. Anyways, let's see here. Tracy says the storms in Minneapolis yesterday had some crazy straight line winds in my area, like strobe light. Yeah, I saw that. Actually, I saw quite a bit of footage from yesterday's storms. They were very energetic. So today is going to be probably pretty darn similar to that. Let's see here. Is it going to get bigger? Yeah, so as we work our way down in time, it will. Looking at the radar now, we can actually see we already do have a little bit of activity popping through. Not really anything super major right now, just a little bit of thunderstorm activity. We did have a bit of severe thunderstorm activity here this morning here overall. But let me actually look at the warnings now. Let's see if we have anything. Yeah, right now we do not have any active severe thunderstorm warnings currently, but that's going to change. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch here for the next 4 hours for southern North Dakota here, so that's already in place. And those watches, as we progress throughout the day, are likely going to expand to the southeast here overall. So we're going to definitely need to look out there for that. But yeah, right now we do not have any active warnings here. Looking at Montana, doesn't really appear that we really have a whole lot going on here as of right now in Montana. You know, just a little bit of convection up in North Dakota here. And as we work way down in time, that is going to be working its way over here to the southeast. Now, the threat will persist into the overnight hours, in which we are going to be live for coverage tonight. We're not going to cover the day duration. There's going to be a lot of people out there covering that, so you guys can look for that. But tonight, you know, obviously we're still going to need coverage at nighttime. So I'm going to be sure to go live here probably around midnight or so to do some coverage with you guys, just to help keep you guys weather aware, you know, just to cover the nighttime, as it's going to be much needed, to definitely look out there for that. Anyways, let's see here. Around what time is this event to start? Well, let me bring you guys over to models here. We'll take a look at the latest guidance here. We're going to bring up the HRRR here. So let's go ahead and do that now. By the way, if you want to follow along in the time here, you can look in the top right here. So there's that. So we work our way down in time here, and you can kind of see, according to the latest HRRR here, it looks like things really do start to fire off here, kind of in the later portion of the evening. You can kind of see the latest run of the HRRR suggests convection really starting in South Dakota here pretty late. A little bit different from what the main models have been talking about here previously, when we were looking at this yesterday. So there is a little bit of differential, though. But the overall verdict is still the same, just having a nasty cluster of storms roll through. Once again, South Dakota here for the late evening. This will persist into the overnight hours here, 2 a.m. Eastern time. You can see a lot of that convection will be out there by like southern Minnesota, maybe northern Iowa and whatnot. So, we're going to keep an eye out there for that. Now, other models like the NAM that we know and love, the NAM 3K kind of has a lot of that activity really picking up as well, kind of in the later evening. You can see here, really showing that line going through eastern South Dakota, cutting through Minnesota, turning into quite a Boeing segment as it goes into Iowa. Right around this time here, this is probably going to be one of its strongest times. It's going to be later this evening, going into the overnight hours here. I mean, this thing is going to be quite the little system here that we're going to need to definitely monitor. But yeah, once again, main threat, excessive damaging winds. Once again, we could see some wind gusts, once again, above 80 miles an hour or greater, in which we definitely do need to be looking out here for. Let's see here. Weston says Des Moines Metro for the night. So Des Moines is in the level 2 threat here, severe weather-wise. So, I mean, Des Moines not in the heaviest of it, but we still do have an active threat for the Des Moines region here. A couple of severe storms will be possible from this system for these regions out by Des Moines. Although there is no tornado probability out here, just a little bit of a gusty wind concern, and that's really about it. We're not really seeing anything other than just a little bit of gusty wind potential out there by Des Moines there overall. A lot of that main risk for tornadoes is going to be further to the northwest here. Same thing for hail as well. Let's see here. What time are they expecting this to start developing? So it's going to be later on this evening is when the main line is going to really develop from what the models kind of suggest here. I mean, we're still likely several hours away from it really starting to, take an effect. But, by the time we reach the later evening, there is no really time. It's just kind of rough estimates from the models here. It's just sometime as we progress into the evening, that's where things is expected to pick up in activity. Let's see. Nancy says, how about Greenfield, Ohio? Thank you so much. Yeah, no problem. So Ohio's actually good. This threat's not going to be any concern for Ohio here today. You can see that we do have a level 0 general thunderstorm risk here. Not a threat for severe weather by any means, but still, a couple booms of thunder possible. So, we'll have to look out for that. But other than that, I mean, yeah, nothing severe, no tornadoes, no damaging winds expected, no hail, or no severe hail, I should say. Some storms obviously could contain some small hail, but we're not expecting any severe activity out here for Ohio. Tomorrow as well. Yeah, we look pretty clear tomorrow. Tomorrow, though, we do have another risk for severe weather here with a level 1 threat, which is a much lower end risk tomorrow as it is today, of course. But, tomorrow still a few storms could be possible. Then we work into day 3. Another little risk here by, Missouri, Illinois, Iowa. This is going to be for day 3, which is going to be on Wednesday. And then also a little bit of the northeast here as well, and a level 1 threat here. So, but yeah, obviously the main concern here is going to be today with this big moderate that we do have out here. Let's see here. Surprised I did not go to high risk for wind. I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I mean, there's been a little bit of uncertainty with the models, as we could tell. There's, a little bit of unsure, so I can kind of see why they pulled a moderate, honestly. I was actually a little bit shocked that they even pulled a moderate. I mean, I was expecting, likely to be an enhanced, but I didn't. They jumped literally from slight to a moderate. They jumped the gun, which is kind of crazy. Let's see here. Any thing in terms of concerns from area? No, tabletop, you're good, man. Let's see. Who do I recommend to watch during the day? To be honest, I mean, there's just a lot of people. It's up to personal preference. Throughout the day, just look out for weather coverages. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people covering them. It's up to personal preference. But like I mentioned, later tonight we're going to be here to cover it with you guys. Let's see. Sioux Falls going to be in the storm? Yeah, so Sioux Falls is actually in kind of one of the heavy areas here in the moderate risk here, that level 4 severe weather threat, which does include that 5% tornado threat here, that 45% significant wind risk here that we do have, potential for damaging winds 80 plus. So, Sioux Falls is in the area we do need to look out for, and also just shy of that hatch risk for hail. So we could have a little bit of hail out there, but yeah, by far, once again, the main threat for you guys is going to be the straight line winds here, in which we could be seeing, upwards of, hurricane strength wind gusts. So that's something we definitely need to look out for. What's up, Misty? Will Bowling Green, Missouri get anything on Wednesday? So we do have, let's see here, we do have a level 1 threat here overall for Wednesday, but day 3, SPC does not have any breakdown for tornado, wind, or hail probability. So I mean, yeah, there's going to be a little chance for storms, maybe an isolated severe storm or two, but not a full blown major threat like we have today. Nothing like that. Let's see here. Money says Michigan. It's pretty bad here. So Michigan's pretty good actually regarding severe weather. We do have a thunderstorm threat though. Looking at the radar now, you can actually see we do have quite a bit of convection popping off, but these are non-severe storms here currently. They do have some special weather statements on them. We could see some gusty winds upwards of 40 miles an hour in some of these guys, but honestly, yeah, not really seeing anything, major for areas out there in Michigan. We're looking pretty good. So just a normal thunderstorm threat today. Just kind of normal thunderstorms. Could be a little gusty, but nothing, damaging. Not expected to be anything, severe. Same thing for tomorrow, too. A couple more storms possible. Wednesday, southern Michigan could see a few more storms, but yeah, nothing really big. Weather says, I know Sioux Falls is in the heavier part of it, but where is Aberdeen? For the record, I am actually monitoring from Indiana. I'm just trying to figure out where things are. Yeah, no problem. Let me bring up Aberdeen then. We'll see what we got going on here. So is this for... let's see here. What state is Aberdeen? And it didn't really show. It just shows Maryland, which I know Maryland's not in the risk here for that. Also shows Washington. Let me know what state. That'll help out a ton. Let's see here. Aberdeen's in the north. Oh, it's in South Dakota? Okay, let me try that. Here we go. Aberdeen, South Dakota. Got it. Okay, that helps me out a ton. So... Aberdeen is in the pretty big threat. You're not in the maximum, and you're just barely just off of that moderate risk here. We are actually in the enhanced risk here out there by Aberdeen, which we do have a 2% tornado threat out here. We do have that 30 significant hatch risk for damaging winds, though. Once again, potential gusts of 80 miles an hour or greater. In some occasions here. And in terms of hail, we actually are in that hatch risk overall for hail. Potential hail ranging, 2 inches in diameter and larger. So, yeah, no, you're definitely still in a pretty decent threat. You're not in the maximum threat, but you're close to it. But, yeah, definitely no exception. You still do need to be actually monitoring this very closely. No problem, Money. No problem, Misty. Let's see, tomorrow has a slight risk on it now. Did they already update that? Oh, look at that, man. We literally just looked at that like 2 seconds ago. Yeah, so now we got a slight risk tomorrow, it looks like. No tornadoes tomorrow, though, which is good. Looks like a 15% wind threat. Another little 15% hail threat. Yeah, it's not as significant as today, thankfully. But still, yeah, tomorrow, the risk did get upgraded. So we're going to need to look out there for tomorrow as well. It shouldn't be as crazy as today's expected to be, but, Anyways, I was talking about the risk they're in. Yeah, so they're in the enhanced risk out there, that level 3 threat. See, John says we got a storm over Chicago. Gotcha. Well, just so you know, Chicago's not in the severe weather risk, but yeah, I do see that storm that is out there. the good news is that the Chicago region is not going to be in the main threat for severe weather, which is good. Once again, the main areas, guys, that we really need to be watching out for today is especially areas in South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. Those are the main area that we do need to look out for. Let's see here. Liam says, how is Minneapolis today? My brother is there right now. So, Minneapolis does have a decent threat today. We are in the level 3 enhanced risk here. That's severe threat level 3 out of 5. Now, tornado probability for Minneapolis is very low. It's a 2% chance probability of a tornado dropping within a 25-mile radius around him. So, the odds are pretty low, and we're not expecting anything significant tornado-wise today, thankfully. But yeah, it's we have a little 2% chance, so that's not really a big problem. However, we do have a big 30% wind risk out here, which could contain some really strong wind gusts. I mean, potentially in excess of 80 miles an hour. Given that they are in the hatch risk area here, that's significant wind risk here. I mean, look at this: swaths of damaging winds, potentially 75 to 90 miles an hour. A few tornadoes and isolated large hail will be possible. So, you can see that the winds are likely, in some cases, going to be above 80. So that's why we really need you guys to be careful. But yeah, given Minneapolis is in that hatch risk, that is certainly a concern. But then lastly, in terms of hail, Minneapolis does have a 15% hail risk here. Just a potential for, a little bit of hail between 1 and 2 inches in diameter, just outside of that main hatch risk area here. We actually have 2 areas of hatch risk, one in central Montana, the other one here in eastern South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota here. See, Laura's getting stronger. Yeah, we actually do have a hurricane out here in the Central Pacific. We have another tropical storm, too, that's getting ready to develop here. Yeah, the Eastern Pacific and the Central Pacific is quite active, actually. We have kind of 4 systems we're watching here. Definitely pretty active. We're going to keep an eye on the tropics and the Atlantic, too. We do have a wave coming off of Africa here soon. I believe today, actually. As of now, Hurricane Center doesn't have anything on it, but we'll continue to keep you guys updated. We'll monitor that. All right, anyway, so let's go ahead and move on to our excessive rainfall risk today. We do have ourselves a level 2 flooding threat here across the yellow, which includes some of the main risk areas here, once again, in eastern South Dakota, central southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, and even a little bit of western Wisconsin here. This gives at least a 15% chance probability for flooding, which is a concern for those low-lying spots. So if you know anybody out there that's in a flood risk here, or in a flood-prone area, I should say, and that's in these regions here, we definitely need to monitor that. The level 1 threat for flooding does extend down into the Ohio Valley, into the Mid-Atlantic region here, which the green indicates at least a 5% chance probability here for flooding. So, as you can imagine, the biggest concern for flooding is going to be out here in the main risk area here. That's kind of where we are expecting the heaviest of the thunderstorm activity here. Also, the greatest, risk overall for storms and stuff. Neon says Pacific region for hurricanes is always super consistent. Yeah, you know what? It's definitely really picking up here. I mean, we got another disturbance here. Has an overall 90% chance of development here in the Eastern Pacific. 40% chance in the next 48 hours or 2 days. We got another disturbance, 60-60. That's likely going to form too. This new system here is already a depression now, which is about to go into a storm here pretty soon as well. So, I mean, we got that. Then, of course, we have Iona, I think it's pronounced. Probably, knowing my luck, I probably said that wrong. Here, let's take a peek at that real quickly. Let's check on the... Ooh, look at that. So that was earlier. Yeah, that's definitely clumping up pretty good there. We definitely do have a pretty good amount of convection going on out here. So it's looking pretty good. But yeah, no, this is a hurricane now. We are now at sustained winds of 75 miles per hour out there on that storm. So definitely we'll keep an eye on it. But like I mentioned, it's going to stay away from all areas of land, which is not going to be any major problems for anybody. It's just south of Hawaii. It's going to remain away from Hawaii. So, that'll be good. It's just kind of a fish storm, But, guys, if y'all have any questions, if you want me to take a look at your zip code, if you're curious about the weather today, and if you want me to look and see if you're under the risk, I mean, don't hesitate to ask. Like I said, I'm here for you if you have any questions, too. I just want to make sure you guys are staying safe out there and remaining weather aware, because like I said, today's definitely a day that we do need to actively be watching the weather here. There's 2 typhoons hitting Japan. Really? I've not really looked out there in a little bit. I've been kind of focused on U.S. weather lately. but I hope they're okay out there. That's pretty rough. That is pretty rough. So, once again, let's see here. Raider, I got you, my friend. Let's go ahead and see what we got going on for you. We're going to bring up this region here. So you are in... okay, so you're actually in the level 2 threat here for today, my friend. That gives you that slight risk here. So that has an overall less than 2% chance probability for tornadoes, so tornadoes is not really much of an issue for you. However, we do have a 15% chance for damaging wind gusts here between 60, maybe upwards of 70 miles an hour here overall. And in terms of hail, we are just outside of that hail risk. So, yeah, really the main thing you got to look out for today is just a little bit of gusty winds. But the main threat is going to be north of Des Moines. You know, Des Moines, Iowa is in that level 2. You know, it's really for, like, northern Iowa, southwestern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota. Those are the main areas that we really have got to look out for. What's up, Bunzy? Hope you're doing good. Ghosted says, is Florida getting any storms tomorrow for the East Coast? So, yeah, we are in a thunderstorm threat. I mean, the entire state of Florida is in a general thunderstorm threat, so, you know, there is going to be potential for thunderstorms across the region. So, yeah, it looks like we might have a little bit of convection out there tomorrow, which would be pretty nice. Yeah, today as well, we'll actually probably get a little bit of storm activity here, too. LV says, level 2, gotcha, thank you. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Like I mentioned, we're here for you guys. I want to keep you guys safe and weather aware. So, you know, please don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions. You know, it's very important that you guys are staying up to date today. You know, because like I said, today is definitely going to be, you know, quite an active day here from what it looks like. You know, once again with this possible derecho we're dealing with here, I mean, we could really see quite the amount of excessive winds here. So here's the NAM 3-kilometer model here. This is known to be kind of biased to straight line storms, but you know, given the mode today, you know, we'll take a look at it. So you know, overall, you can see that a lot of the storm activity picks up here on the NAM across South Dakota here. This is going to be relatively in the evening overall. So that is kind of what we're looking out here for. So that's going to develop here for South Dakota, working its way into Minnesota, here in Iowa. So you know, that's going to kind of really going to kick off in the late evening hours here, working its way here into even early morning hours. Like I said, we're going to do some coverage in the morning. I want to be here for you guys early. You know, nighttime coverage is extremely important, and I just want to make sure that you guys are watching this here very closely. What's up, Weather on the Go? Good to see you, man. Welcome back. Saying good afternoon, my friend. Was my diagnosis of today's storms 48 hours in advance helpful? Yeah. You know, I did see something about some storms, but, you know, I wasn't too sure on it being a full-on derecho, but that's kind of shown itself to be, you know, a good possibility at this point. But I do appreciate it, dude. It's good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing well. Let's see here. LV says, appreciate this. I had no idea derechos are no joke. They are definitely no joke. I mean, like I mentioned, we could see some winds, you know, in the hurricane force winds today. Once again, here, hopping back to the main risk here, the Storm Prediction Center said, look at this, potentially 75 to 90 mile per hour winds. And a few tornadoes, isolated large hail will be also possible. So, you know, like I mentioned, yes, there is a tornado threat today, but it's not the main concern. Tornadoes is not the main concern. You know, we do have this 5% region here, which, yeah, a couple of tornadoes could develop out of it. You know, the greatest risk for that's in eastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota, and a little bit of northwestern Iowa. Then that 2% chance here and across the green as well, you know, a lower probability, which is a pretty low end risk here for tornadoes. I mean, 5% still fairly low, but, you know, a couple spin-ups could be definitely quite possible. Now, in terms of damaging winds here, like I said, that's by far the main problem with this system here. You know, once again, we had this really big hatch risk area here, you know, this dashed area. This is where we really could see those winds. You know, once again, like they mentioned here, was it 75 to 90 miles an hour? You know, could be quite possible. We really could see some significant winds in, you know, these regions here. Now, outside of this hatch risk here, it's going to be a little bit less. More than likely, it will contain some gusty winds between mostly 60, maybe upwards of 70 miles an hour or so. But the big stuff is inside of this this dashed area here. Once again, the red indicating a 30% chance for damaging winds here every 25 miles. And then across the pink area here, this is that 45% chance here, which, is a greater probability, which that 45% chance, of damaging winds within every 25 miles. I mean, that's a pretty big risk. That is certainly a pretty big risk. And, there's going to be a really good shot, of widespread damaging winds that we really got to look out for. Let's see here. Corson says Z zip code. I think I'm right in the middle of it. Well, let me see what you're in for, my friend. We'll see what you got going on for you. So you are in the southwestern side here of Minnesota. So yeah, you are in that. You weren't kidding. You were literally in the middle of that that moderate risk out there. So definitely be careful today. You do have a 5% chance for tornadoes out there. That 45 significant wind risk here. Once again, potential gusts between 75 and 90 miles an hour. And then lastly, in terms of hail, we do have this 15% hatch risk out there, actually, for potential hail, 2 inches in diameter or greater. So we definitely do need to look out there for that. So please be careful, dude. If you have any more questions, please let me know, okay? What's up, Alex? Saying, hey, Andrew, what's up, my man? Heard the potential flooding in New Jersey area, some severe weather maybe. I heard Euro's outputting 6 inches yesterday. What's my thought on it? I can look at the risk areas real quickly. Today we don't have nothing out for New Jersey. So looking at tomorrow, same thing, day 3. Wednesday, we might have a little bit of storm activity, perhaps maybe an isolated severe storm or two. Now, the overall flooding threat here for day 3 is a marginal level 1 threat. And the next 2 days is outside of the flooding risk area here. So Wednesday, a little bit of a risk overall, in terms of that. Day 4, though, Thursday, yeah, we do actually have a level 2, at least 15% risk here. Then Friday, we're outside the risk here. So, yeah, between Wednesday and Thursday, especially Thursday, it does look like we really do have a pretty good chance of flooding. So, yeah, definitely keep an eye out there for that, my friend. Especially if you're in an area that's prone to flooding. Just be sure that you're keeping an eye out there for that, okay? Corson says, I will be watching. We had a flash flood warning here last night. Not much really happened, but it's probably going to be worse. Thank you for the look. Yeah, no problem, dude. Like I mentioned, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask. The goal here, guys, is just to make sure you guys are staying up to date and weather aware, because, a day like today is pretty serious, and we definitely really need to be actively weather aware today. So, the people that are ahead of the storm here, once again, one thing I would highly recommend that you guys do, like right now, or, when you get done watching this stream here, is get prepped. Make sure that you have, your safe spot filled with, first aid kit, pair of shoes, some non-perishable food, water would be pretty good as well. Just in case, because, these winds are going to be very, very strong. And I just want you guys to have all of your important stuff with you, important documents, medicine, all that stuff. Bring it into your safe spot, which if you don't know where your safe spot is, if you have a basement, a storm shelter, that's where you want to go. But if not, no worries. Go to the central interior portion of your home on the lowest floor possible. Okay, so lowest floor, central interior portion of your home is where you'd want to go. If you do not have a basement or a storm shelter, that is. If you do have a basement, storm shelter, that's, where you'd want to go. But if you're in a trailer, man, I tell you, honestly, I would heavily recommend, if you guys are in the main risk area here today, in that main hatch risk area here, I would heavily recommend that you leave your trailer today and go find somewhere else to hang out. Maybe contact a friend, maybe a neighbor, just somebody who has a more sturdier structure, because, these winds can topple trailers. I hate to say it, but, I got to tell you, I got to keep you guys updated and everything. And, I would heavily just recommend that you, go find somewhere else today. That really applies for a lot of central, eastern South Dakota, southern Minnesota, and northern Iowa, because, once again, this is going to be potential gusts between 75 and 90 miles an hour, which, that's quite a bit. We could theoretically even have some higher gusts than that. We're going to have to look out for this. We're definitely going to keep a close eye on that. Sharon says, hello, Andrew. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. Do I think this event or derecho could bust? I mean, any storm system you have has potential to bust, but there's no way of knowing until the storm, happens or, when it's expected to happen. I mean, yeah, with any storm system it's possible, but, we always got to prepare for the worst. We always got to prepare for the worst. We got to hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That is very important. I hope it busts today. I really do. Because, it does look pretty serious out there today. What's up, Josh? Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. But, yeah, once again, everybody, if you're just tuning in here, we have a level 4 moderate risk here for severe weather today. The main risk area here is across eastern South Dakota, southern Minnesota, and northern Iowa here with that level 4 moderate risk here overall. Now, extending that, we do have the level 3 enhanced risk across the orange. Still a really serious threat for, damaging winds and, hail, as well as some tornadic activity too. And then, of course, we do have the yellow level 2 threat here in the yellow, level 1 in the green. But yeah, the main concern today, once again, is across portions of South Dakota, Minnesota, as well as Iowa here. So, let's see here. What's up, Josh? Hope you're doing good. Did I see themselves firing in Nebraska? I did not. We looked at North Dakota a little bit ago. Saw a little bit of stuff popping through. It doesn't. I mean, I see a little bit of showers in western Nebraska. I don't think that's much of anything, though. What's up, Wayne? Good to see you, man. What's up, Daniel? Saying, hey, man, thanks for keeping us updated. I'm in Granite area. You think I'll be good in an apartment? Let me see. Most apartments are pretty structurally integrated, in which, most of those. Let me check. Hold on, where's this at? Is this up in? Let me know what state if you could. That would help me out a ton. But yeah, most apartments are pretty well structured. So I mean, it really depends, but more than likely you should be good. Just make sure you set up an area in the central interior portion of your apartment, just to make sure that you have a little safe spot to go in case if things start getting bad. Let's see here. Vienna says, woke up early, saw your YouTube saying moderate, check SPC moderate. Very surprised about the moderate, to be honest. I kind of was too, I ain't gonna lie. I woke up earlier this morning and I was like, I was checking it, because it actually went from a slight level 2 to a moderate level 4. I mean, we jumped the enhanced. We went straight from slight to moderate, which was kind of crazy. So, let's see. What's up, Misty? Saying I can literally drive to this moderate risk a couple hours away from me in Missouri. General thunderstorm risk. Gotcha. Well, I wouldn't recommend it. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. Daniel says Granite Falls in Minnesota. Gotcha, man. Let me see what you got going on for you. Let's see what we're dealing with here. So you. Okay, so yeah, you are kind of in the you are in the level 4 moderate here. So you definitely do need to keep an eye on it. So that's a 5% tornado risk here. We have a 45% gusty wind risk here. Once again, potential gusts between 75 and 90 miles an hour. And in terms of hail, we do have that 15% significant risk overall for hail. So, yeah, I mean, I think you should be okay, but just please make sure you set up a safe spot to go in the central interior portion. Of your apartment there, because that's important. And this really goes for a lot of you guys. If you're in the main risk area here today, just make sure that you have a safe place to go, nowhere to go in case if things do get kind of bad. If you have a basement storm shelter, once again, that's first option. Second option would be the central interior portion on the lowest floor of your home. So that would be your main option. And once again, if you're in a trailer, like I mentioned, as these storms go by, I would heavily recommend that you probably go somewhere else, because, once again, trailers, they're not really meant to withstand winds up to this height. I hate to say it. So maybe go to a friend's house, maybe a neighbor, somebody with a little bit more of a structurally integrated building. That would definitely be heavily recommended today. And, in your safe spot, make sure you have all kinds of important stuff like medicine, non-perishable food and water would be really important. First aid kits, pair of shoes, helmet, pair of clothes. Let's see here. Flashlights, extra batteries. important documents too, like birth certificates, whatever, insurance papers. Just keep all those together in your safe spot, okay? And, once again, central interior portion of your home, if you guys could, on the lowest floor, okay? Anyways, we need a break from this crappy weather. I agree, dude. I 100% agree. You guys have been getting hit pretty good lately, but, today seems to be a little bit worse, absolutely. Let's see here. Okay, thanks, man. Good to know. Yep, no problem, dude. I got you. What's up, TNT? Saying, let's see. What's up, man? Is Wisconsin or Illinois going to get it? So Wisconsin does have a little bit of a risk here in the western side. It's not a super, super great threat, per se. It is a decent threat, though. Still a couple severe storms will be possible. We do have, not really a tornado threat out here for Wisconsin, as you can see. The main tornado threat is just going to be for northern Iowa, central southern Minnesota, central eastern South Dakota. Wisconsin's pretty okay from tornadic activity as of now. However, we do have a 15% wind threat here in the yellow, 5% chance here in the brown. And then lastly, in terms of hail, we do have a little 5% chance here on the far western side of Wisconsin, including areas like Eau Claire, where we could see maybe a little bit of hail. Nothing significant, though. However, in this black dashed area here, this is where we could actually see some hail pretty large, possibly 2 inches in diameter or larger. But yeah, for Wisconsin, not really a big threat for hail. Now, you mentioned Illinois as well. Illinois has an even lower threat. Only northwestern Illinois, including areas like Rockford, Galesburg area. We could see maybe an isolated severe storm or two. Now, whenever it comes to it, once again, no tornado threats, a little 5% wind threats, and, not even a hail threat here. It's just a little bit of a concern out there, mostly for just some gusty winds overall. So that is that. Let's see here. Daniel says, I was thinking about going to the casino. Would I recommend that? As long as you're back before the storms happen. I just don't want you traveling in the storms. That's the problem. As long as you get the timing right, just make sure that you're back, before the storms really hit. That's that. What's up, Overbuilt? Let's see here. Braven, I think we already looked at your area, but I could be wrong. Let me check though. For you. You're in South Dakota, right? Yeah. So we already looked over here. You are in the level 4 threat today, which does include that 5% tornado risk here, that 45% wind risk here, and that 15% hail risk. So, yeah, your main thing you got to look out there is for some gusty winds here. Let's see. What time will the storm start? Says Vienna. It kind of varies on the models here. Like looking at the, let's see here. Looking at the NAM 3 kilometer here, you can kind of see that stuff really starts turning into that line kind of in the later evening here. Kind of like, you can see we kind of start off as just a few little isolated cells, potentially, according to this model anyways. This is right around 7 Eastern, 6 Central. And you can see once we approach like 9 Eastern, 8 Central, that's when we start really developing into a line. And it could be like full-blown, Boeing segment by like midnight Central Time. So possibly even earlier, So it really ranges. I mean, HRRR here is a little bit different. Like here's like the 16 UTC run here. You can see it's a little bit different. Actually having this going a little bit further east than the NAM. The NAM kind of had it going southeast. This kind of goes more east. So, there obviously is a little bit of disagreement here. But the overall system is still there on these models. I mean, there has been a little bit of changes here. Let's see. Here's the WRF AR2 model. Kind of showing the same thing, just that main line developing here kind of in the mid to late evening and really packing a punch throughout the later evening going into early morning. So, yeah. Yeah, Overbuilt. Yeah, they're not really the best. Like I mentioned, if you're in a trailer, guys, I would recommend going to find somewhere else if you could. Daniel says no, like safety-wise. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, bigger buildings would be pretty good. If you're going to be there during the storm, yeah, big buildings would be better, in my opinion, to be, because they're a little bit more structurally integrated and stuff. So scared me. My alarm. What time? Let's see. Willett from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So, Braven, you know, the time really varies here. You know, I can't give you an approximate time because more than likely it'll be inaccurate. You know, you can see models are kind of all over the place here. But I would say just keep an eye on the radar anywhere from probably 5 to 8 p.m. or so. Is roughly when those storms could be around you, okay? So it's kind of the later portion of the day. But remember, that could be off, you know, because models, like I mentioned, they're kind of all over the place here. Let's see here. Let me bring up some of these other models here. Here's the HRDPS model. You can see. Yeah, this one shows it a little bit later, but it's definitely kind of in the later evening here. Is whenever this thing really kind of pops through. Yeah, NAM looks pretty aggressive, but, you know, this is also NAM. NAM's always pretty weird. Let's see here. Becca says, can you point out what Rapid City is, South Dakota? Because I'm sorry, I just can't see the writing. I know people are asking, and I'm sorry for asking. No, you're good, Becca. Don't worry about it. You know, anything to help keep you safe and weather aware? Absolutely. Here, let me bring this up for you, my friend. Let's hop on back over here. So, let's see here. This is in Rapid City, South Dakota. Okay, so you're actually in the lower risk for today. It depends. I mean, you're kind of sandwiched between the level 2 and the level 1 risk here today. So there is no tornado threat here. We do have ourselves a little 5% chance for winds, between 5 and 15. It just depends. I mean, you're kind of right between those two. So between 5 to 15%. And hail, same thing, 5 to 15% here. But yeah, there are no tornadoes expected out here, you know, since you're on the western side. The main area here for South Dakota is on the central eastern side, so you're kind of lucking out there. You know, there is a chance we could get some storms out here, of course, you know, perhaps maybe a severe storm or two as well. But, you know, it's not going to be like full-blown derecho mode probably for you. It's probably just going to be, you know, some isolated severe storms or two. Let's see here. Daniel says, okay, I figured so. Thank you, man. Yeah, no problem, dude. I got you. Braven says, okay, thank you so much. No problem, guys. Y'all are very, very welcome. And like I mentioned, I just want to be here to help you guys out. And please, if you have any questions, let me know, okay? I'll be more than happy to help you guys. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. And I'm not going to hold you to it, but it would be greatly appreciated. That way also you guys can stay weather up to date, or weather aware. So I'll make sure to keep you guys updated with everything that goes on. But yeah, once again, please don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions here. So once again, if you're just joining us, we have a pretty big day of severe weather today. We have a level 4 moderate risk overall. We have ourselves that main risk for severe weather today across eastern South Dakota, southern Minnesota, and northern portions of Iowa. Now, the main threat today is going to be damaging winds. The overall tornado probability here is across these areas. You know, the area in the light green, or the green color, this is a 2% chance for tornadoes. The brown is a 5% chance here in eastern South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota, even a little bit of extreme northwestern Iowa here too. And then in terms of damaging winds, you know, that's where it really gets you there with that really big hatch risk area. The red indicating a 30% chance probability for damaging winds, and that pink indicating a 45% chance probability here overall. Let's see here. The Termitator. I love your name, by the way, dude. That's awesome. Thank you for the $2, man. I appreciate that. That's really sweet of you, dude. You definitely didn't have to do that. Saying, how is Pine Islands, Minnesota will be this evening? Well, let me look for you, my friend. Thank you, dude. The Termitator. Dude, you got the best name. I ain't gonna lie. Let's see here. All right, so you are in, I believe, the level 3. Yeah, so you're in the enhanced risk today. So the scale goes up to 5. Today's max risk is a level 4. You're in the level 3. So you're still in a pretty decent risk for severe weather. Do need you to be weather aware today. You do have a pretty low tornado risk, though. You have a 2% chance for tornadoes, which is very unlikely. However, you know, an isolated tornado or two, a brief spin up cannot be ruled out. Now, in terms of damaging winds, that's what you really need to look out for, okay? We do have ourselves a 30% risk for damaging winds, in which we do have a significant risk for them, meaning that we could see some gusts here today between 75 to 90 miles per hour. So you definitely want to make sure you're watching those as the storm kind of rolls through here. And in terms of hail, we do have a just a little 5% risk here for hail, which we could see maybe some hailstones between maybe 1 to 2 inches in diameter. The odds are pretty low. I think your main thing you got to look out for is going to be some gusty winds and whatnot. That's really the main threat out here that you need to be looking out there for. Okay, so please be careful. And if you have any more questions, let me know. And regarding the timing, if you're wondering, it's going to be fairly early. So I'd actually recommend staying up a little bit later tonight if you could. Some models suggest that storm, the storm activity kind of popping through fairly early in the morning here, after midnight and whatnot. So, I would recommend it, for a storm like this, just to be safe, just to make sure that you're, weather aware and that you're watching it and whatnot. So, anyways, Terminator, thank you, dude, for the 2. I appreciate it, man. That helps a lot, helps keep us afloat here. So, thank you for the donation, my friend. You rock, man. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, like I mentioned, guys, if y'all have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Like I mentioned, I'm here for you guys. I want to make sure you guys are staying weather aware and staying safe out here. So, once again, don't hesitate to ask. Let's see here. Becca coming in with a $5 donation, my friend. Thank you, Becca. You guys are awesome. Terminator, Becca, thank you. Thank you, Becca, for the 5. Saying, I'm so thankful you are the best, and I trust no one more. You saved, you said, I think that's saved. You saved so many lives. Thank you. Becca, no, thank you, my friend. That's really sweet of you. You did not have to do that. That's greatly appreciated, Becca. You rock, my friend. Thank you. And, Becca, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know, okay? But I really appreciate that. Becca, Terminator, you guys are awesome. I appreciate your support. So, like I mentioned, tomorrow, we need to watch the weather here, too. We do have a slight risk here for tomorrow as well. It's not going to be as big of a threat here as today is, of course. But, some of the central plains are in the risk here tomorrow, like Colorado, South Dakota, Nebraska, and western Iowa. But, yeah, today's risk, we do have, that big moderate overall. So, we'll definitely be sure to... to keep you guys weather aware out here. Once again, we're going to go live tonight around midnight. We're going to cover a lot of the later portion of the event because I want to be there during the nocturnal part of the threat here, just to make sure that somebody's there covering it. During the daytime, there's going to be other people that will be streaming it, so, make sure to tune into them. That way that you can get updated on the weather. But, whenever it comes to it, tonight, I think we really do need to be... streaming here. So we'll definitely be here tonight for you guys. See, that storm got gusty in Chicago. Did it? Let's see here. Oh, it got a severe warning on it, actually. Look at that. Let's see. So that is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts in quarter hail. That includes Evergreen Park area here. Let's see. Marionette Park and Calmet Park area. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts in quarter hail. Let's see, West Lawn, Chicago Lawn, Englewood, Marionette Park, West Englewood, Morgan Park, Greater Grand Crossing, Mount Greenwood, Beverly, Burnside, Eastside, Riverdale, Chatham, Auburn, Gresham, Calmet Heights. Let's see, Avalon Park, Hedgewich, South Deering, Hyde Park, South Chicago, South Shore, Alsip, Roseland, Pullman, and Calmet Park. That was a handful, man. So yeah, that's for that one warning out there. Let's see here. Becca says you deserve the world for what you do. See, time to go pick up my daughter. Enjoy your day. Becca, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And, you really didn't have to do that, my friend. I really appreciate it. Terminator says, you're welcome, and I'll tune in. Hopefully it won't be too terrible. Yeah, I hope so, too. I really appreciate it, though. Yeah, thank you as well, dude. That's really appreciated. So, like I mentioned, guys, once again, today's threat's not going to be the main concern. The main concern's not going to be, the tornado threat. The main concern today is going to be the threat for damaging winds and whatnot. By the way, I put these glasses on so they help protect my eyes, because after a while of staring at screens, my eyes are pretty sensitive. Not just for cool looks or anything. But yeah, no. The main thing though, like I said, we got to look out for is really going to be the damaging wind threat. I mean, we do have a tornado threat today. We have this 5% chance area here for eastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota, and a little sliver of extreme northwestern Iowa here. So that's a 5% chance for tornadoes, including areas out there by the Clear Lake, Brookings, Sioux Falls, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So that's where the greatest concern for tornadoes is. Then we have that 2% that does extend a little bit further out there, which is a pretty low end tornado risk here overall. But yeah, no, the risk that really takes the cake for today, like I mentioned, is the damaging wind risk here. That's what we really got to look out for. With this black dashed area here, indicating that. That hatch risk, for the potential of those winds, once again, between 75 to 90 miles an hour in terms of gusts here. So that is the main concern. But yeah, the pink area here represents a 45% chance here, of overall damaging winds here. The red indicates a 30% chance. The yellow is a 15, which outside of the risk or outside of the hatch risk area here, this dashed area outside of it. We could see some winds mostly between 60 and 70. But inside of that hatch risk area, that's where we could see those winds, once again, 75 to 90 overall. See here, new mesoscale discussion, really? Let me look. Discussions. Turn these on to, is this for, there we go. Yep, new mesoscale discussion up here in central Montana. Severe potential. Peak wind gusts 55 to 70 miles an hour. So this is outside of that hatch risk wind threat, by the way. Peak hail size between 1.5 and 2.5 inches in diameter. They did give it an 80%, so this thing's likely going to materialize into a watch here soon. So, thanks for pointing that out, my friend. I appreciate that. But then, like I mentioned, the hail threat here, we do have those two hatch risk areas here. Where we could see potential hail between, 2 inches in diameter or larger here, essentially. Which we do have eastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota here, and central areas of Montana here overall. And then, but yeah, back to the wind threat. That's really where the main concern is. Now, don't forget, despite the the big threat for severe weather, we also do have a bit of a flooding threat today as well. We do have a level 2 flooding risk here across eastern South Dakota, central southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, and western Wisconsin here. This is at least a 15% chance probability overall of flooding potential that we do need to look into. And then in the green area here, this is a 5% chance here, at least a 5% chance overall for flooding potential overall. So, just make sure that you guys are also watching for that. As you know, not only damaging winds and, tornadic activity and hail is going to be a concern, but, the threat for flooding also exists too. But anyways, y'all, once again, if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We are more than happy to help. Just want to make sure you guys are, staying weather aware out there. Oops. Just want to make sure you guys are staying weather aware and weather prepared. That way we can, help keep you guys safe, because that's the most important thing here. It's just making sure y'all know what's coming. But one thing I will also say, before the storm really kind of kicks off here, is if you have anything loose outside, any lawn furniture, any plots or plants or just anything that could easily be flown around in the winds. Remember, these winds are going to probably be between 75 and 90 miles an hour in some cases. So if you have any loose objects outside, be sure to bring them in before the storm hits. I'd recommend doing it the sooner the better. That way you don't, first of all, lose your property, but also because it doesn't, become a projectile in those winds. Definitely could be a concern. So just make sure that you bring those in here. But back over to models here. Looking at the NAM 3K. Timing's a little iffy, but it does look like We're going to be getting a lot of that line developing here kind of in the later evening here. Eastern South Dakota, working its way down into Minnesota here. The main event's going to be kind of in the late evening, early morning. Can I check the Pacific Ocean? We looked at the tropics a little bit ago, which we do have those two systems out there. Yeah, we have the Category 1 hurricane, and we have a new depression. But anyways, so that's what the NAM3K suggests here. Hopping back to the HRRR here. Yeah, HRRR does take a little bit of a different approach here. Still, those storms firing off kind of late in South Dakota, but it goes a lot further east here. So there is obviously a little bit of disagreement here in the models, but we'll be sure to just see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it. Once again, we're gonna go live regardless at midnight tonight, so we'll be sure to be here for you guys. Alrighty, but let's see. We've heard system's not a problem for the U.S. It's not even gonna impact really any area of land, so not really important right now. Not as important as the severe weather we have going on here. But all right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the update here. I'm going to end up doing a video here very soon. I'm going to work on a video, so be tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, leaving a like. Be greatly appreciated. Cass says, what does the hatch risk mean again? So the hatch risk can mean different things for the different risk. It just means that that's where significant severe weather is expected. For example, if it's a hatched wind risk, that's saying where we could see, significant damaging winds. If it's a hatch tornado risk, significant tornadic activity, which we do not have today, thankfully. Hatch hail risk, potential for significant hail. It really ranges. It depends on the event. Sometimes it's bigger than others, but yeah, it's just basically the significant risk. It's just highlighting an area showing the greater risk. Alrighty, everybody. Well, I appreciate y'all for joining. But like I said, yeah, we're going to roll off here for now. Once again, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, leaving a like. It'll be greatly, greatly appreciated. I just want to say thank you all for joining us. I really, really appreciate y'all. If you're new to the channel, once again, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you. It's good to see y'all. Y'all, please be careful. We're going to get a video out here very soon, so just keep an eye on the channel. Turn on those notifications. That way you get notified whenever I do make a video, and I'll just go over everything we need to. That way you guys can kind of watch it on your own time. But alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you for joining. Stream's going to head off here in a minute, so go ahead and say goodbye to your friends, your family, anybody you're hanging out in the chat. And alrighty, everybody. Thank you for joining. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.